if I told you your automatic car might already be on its way to an early grave, and you don't even know it? Seriously, tiny everyday habits you don't even think twice about could be destroying your transmission, burning through fuel, and setting you up for a massive repair bill. That's why today we're breaking down the key mistakes you need to avoid with your automatic car. No sugarcoating here, just the straight-up truth to help you keep your ride running smoothly. So let's start with mistake number 1, running on empty. It seems harmless, but it's one of the easiest ways to ruin your car's fuel system. Most people assume a fuel pump's sole job is to deliver gas from the tank to the engine, yet it actually relies on fuel for cooling and lubrication. When your gas level drops too low, the pump starts sucking in air instead of fuel, causing it to overheat. Over time, this leads to premature failure. And let me tell you, fuel pumps are not cheap. On most cars, replacing one can set you back anywhere from $500 to $1,500, depending on the model, of course. Oh, and all the gunk sitting at the bottom of your tank, it gets pulled into the system, clogging your fuel filter, jamming injectors, and reducing fuel efficiency. That debris can even harm the engine itself over time. So, make it a rule, never let your tank drop below a quarter full. Moving on to mistake number 2, coasting in neutral. This is one of the worst things you can do in an automatic car. Modern fuel-injected engines already cut fuel when you're coasting in a gear. So, shifting into neutral offers nothing to your miles per gallon. It only reduces your control. If an emergency pops up and you need to accelerate quickly, you're stuck in neutral, and by the time you shift back to drive, it might be too late. The issue is even more dangerous in older automatics that don't have shift logic like modern ones do. Frequently shifting in and out of neutral can lead to premature wear on transmission bands, resulting in rough shifts and potential failure. Keep your car in drive. The system is designed to use engine braking, which not only reduces wear on your brake pads, but also gives you better control. Next, mistake number 3 might surprise you because a lot of people assume if their car doesn't stall, it's fine. But driving through deep water is one of the fastest ways to destroy your transmission without you even realizing it. Automatic transmission rely on tiny vents to equalize internal pressure. When water is drawn into these vents, it mixes with the transmission fluid, turning it into a foamy milkshake-like mess. Since that fluid is meant to lubricate gears and prevent overheating, contamination quickly renders it useless. You get slipping gears, delayed shifts, and eventually complete transmission failure. I'm not exaggerating here. After Hurricane Harvey hit Texas in 2017, thousands of automatic cars were scrapped because their transmissions were irreparably damaged. Repair shops were overwhelmed with vehicles suffering from water-damaged gearboxes, and repairs cost owners thousands of dollars. So, avoid deep water like it's lava. If you must cross, go slowly, but if the water reaches your doors, turn around. It's just not worth the risk. Mistake number 4 is one that almost every automatic car driver falls into, leaving your car in drive at stoplights or during long stops. When you do this, the torque converter remains engaged, constantly working to keep the engine running while holding the car stationary. Unlike a manual transmission, which fully disconnects the engine from the wheels when you press the clutch, an automatic uses hydraulic pressure to maintain that connection. And what does that mean? Heat. Lots of heat. Every time you idle at a red light in drive, the torque converter churns the transmission fluid without enough airflow to cool it down. Over time, this excess heat degrades the fluid, reducing its ability to lubricate and protect the delicate internal components of your transmission. The bottom line is, for quick stops, staying in drive is fine, but if you're stopped for more than a minute, shifting to neutral is the smarter move. Next mistake, number 5, is a common one for cold weather drivers: not allowing your transmission to warm up before taking off. In freezing temperatures, automatic transmission fluid thickens, making it harder to flow through the system. Since your transmission literally depends on this fluid to shift gears smoothly, lubricate moving parts, and prevent overheating, thickened fluid mean it can't do its job properly, causing delayed shifts, rough engagements, and extra strain on internal components. This problem is especially true in older models that lack the advanced temperature compensation systems found in modern cars. A 2012 Honda Accord might struggle to shift in freezing conditions, while a 2023 BMW X5 benefits from a transmission fluid heater that helps warm things up faster. Still, regardless of modern advancements, cold fluid simply needs time to reach its optimal viscosity. The best approach is to start your engine, wait about 60 to 90 seconds for the fluid to circulate, and then drive gently for the first few miles. Keep your revs low and avoid aggressive acceleration until everything warms up properly. Mistake number 6 is one that many drivers do without even thinking about it: resting your hand on the gear shifter while driving. I know it feels comfy, but your transmission absolutely hates it. In most automatic cars, the gear selector is directly linked to a series of internal shift forks and linkage components that are designed to engage only when you're actively shifting, not to support the constant weight of your hand. Even a light continuous pressure can, over time, place unnecessary strain on the shift linkage and internal components. I'm not being dramatic. Mechanics see this all the time. Drivers come in complaining of loose or sticky gear selectors, only to find that habitual leaning on the shifter has worn out the internal bushings or cables. So, unless you're driving a race car, keep both hands on the wheel and only touch the gear selector when you actually need to shift. Your transmission doesn't need a cuddle. Alright, moving on to mistake number 7, ignoring your dashboard warning lights. You know the ones, they pop up out of nowhere and you think, the car's still running fine. But by the time you actually feel something's off, it could already be too late. These warning lights are not suggestions, they're early alerts designed to catch minor issues before they spiral into major costly problems. When it comes to transmission warnings, dismissing them can end up being one of the most expensive oversights you can make. A flashing or illuminated transmission light typically signals problems like low fluid levels, overheating, sensor malfunctions, or internal wear. Initially, you might not notice any symptoms, but eventually you could experience slipping gears, delayed shifts, or rough engagements. By the time you finally head to the mechanic, what began as a minor issue might have escalated into a full-blown repair, sometimes costing anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000. So, if a warning light comes on, don't brush it off. Get a diagnostic scan ASAP. Many auto parts stores offer free scans, or you can invest in an affordable OBD2 scanner to check it yourself. For mistake number 8, let's talk about hard acceleration. I get it, sometimes you just want to floor it and feel like you're in a Fast and Furious scene. But your transmission isn't built for that kind of abuse. Hard acceleration from a dead stop is one of the roughest treatments you can inflict on an automatic transmission. Unlike a manual, where you control clutch engagement, automatics depend on the torque converter to smoothly transfer power. When you slam the gas pedal, the transmission is forced to shift gears rapidly, which spikes fluid pressure and places immense strain on the clutches and brakes. This rapid shifting not only creates extra internal stress, but also generates excess heat, something we've already discussed as a major enemy of your transmission's longevity. Do this enough times and you're well on your way to wearing out your gearbox prematurely. Okay, that doesn't mean you should never accelerate quickly. Just make sure your car is fully warmed up and try to avoid launching from a standstill too often. Now, for mistake number 9, which is something many drivers don't even realize can be dangerous: shifting into park while the car is still moving. It might seem like nothing at first, but that tiny click you hear is really your transmission pleading for help. Inside your automatic transmission is a small yet critical component called the parking pawl. This is a tiny metal pin that locks into place when you shift into park and prevents the wheels from turning. However, the parking pawl is designed solely to hold a stationary vehicle, not to stop one in motion. If you shift into park while your car is still rolling, you're essentially forcing that small pin to bear the full weight and momentum of your vehicle. Over time, this abuse can cause the pawl to chip, crack, or even break completely, leaving your car unable to remain safely parked. This issue is especially common in heavier vehicles like SUVs and trucks, such as the Chevy Silverado or Ford Explorer, though even sedans like the Nissan Altima or Volkswagen Jetta have experienced parking pawl failures when drivers shift too soon. The solution is simple, guys. Always come to a complete stop before shifting into park. It takes just a moment, but it can save you a lot of expense. We're at mistake number 10, and this is a habit many drivers overlook: not using the handbrake when parking. You might think your car is secure sitting in park, but relying solely on the transmission's parking gear places unnecessary strain on your system, especially on hills or uneven surfaces. We've just talked about the parking pawl. That tiny metal component isn't meant to shoulder all of your car's weight on its own. That's why mechanics always recommend using the handbrake or parking brake every time you park, even on level ground. The handbrake locks the rear wheels into place, relieving stress on the transmission and ensuring your car stays put. So, make it a habit to always apply the handbrake regardless of the terrain. Alright, mistake number 11 is one that causes more transmission issues than almost anything else on this list: neglecting fluid changes. Unlike engine oil, which most people know should be changed regularly, transmission fluid is often forgotten. Over time, it breaks down and becomes contaminated with tiny metal particles from normal wear and tear. When that happens, it loses its ability to lubricate gears properly and cool the system, leading to the same premature failure, rough shifts, or overheating we talked about. Many automatic car owners don't even realize their transmission fluid needs changing until it's too late. And while engine oil can be checked easily with a dipstick, many modern automatic transmissions are sealed, making it difficult for the average driver to monitor the fluid level. Manufacturers typically recommend changing the fluid every 50,000 to 100,000 miles, though it may need to be done sooner if you tow frequently or drive under extreme conditions. Moving on to mistake number 12, shifting between drive and reverse while the car is still moving. If you've ever done this even once, you need to break this habit immediately. Automatic transmissions aren't built to handle sudden directional changes on the fly. In a manual transmission, the clutch gives you control over gear engagement, but an automatic relies on a series of hydraulic clutches and gears to manage shifts. When you switch from drive to reverse or vice versa, while the car is still rolling, you force the transmission to abruptly disengage one gear set and engage another in the opposite direction without a smooth transition. This sudden shift puts extreme stress on the clutch packs, transmission bands, and even drivetrain components, resulting in premature wear, harsh shifting, and in worst cases, complete transmission failure. Mechanics mostly see this kind of damage in vehicles driven by impatient drivers, with models like the Ford Focus, Dodge Charger, and Nissan Altima frequently affected. The rule is simple, guys. Always come to a full stop before shifting gears. Mistake number 13 is a classic wintertime or off-road error: revving your engine when you're stuck in snow or mud. As we've hinted several times throughout this video, automatic transmissions depend on steady fluid pressure and controlled gear engagement to transfer power smoothly. When you rev the engine while the wheels are spinning without traction, the transmission keeps trying to deliver torque, but the wheels have nothing to grip, leading to overheating, fluid breakdown, and even internal damage. The issue is especially critical for CVTs, continuously variable transmissions, which are more susceptible to belt slippage and premature damage under such stress. Vehicles like the Nissan Rogue, Subaru Forester, and Honda HR-V, which rely on CVT technology for fuel efficiency, can suffer when subjected to these harsh conditions. Instead of revving, try a gentle rocking motion by alternating between drive and reverse, or improve traction with aids like sand, kitty litter, or even floor mats under your tires. Moving on to mistake number 14, excessive towing with an automatic. Just because your truck or SUV is rated to tow doesn't mean you should push it to the limit. Overloading forces the transmission to work much harder than it's designed for, which causes excessive heat buildup. Remember, heat is the #1 enemy of automatic transmissions. Even vehicles built for towing, such as the Ford F-150, Chevy Silverado, and Toyota Tacoma, require proper precautions. Always check your vehicle's towing capacity before hauling heavy loads. And if you tow frequently or near the upper limits, consider installing an auxiliary transmission cooler. This simple addition can make a huge difference in keeping your transmission operating at a safe temperature. At number 15, the biggest mistake of all is overconfidence in modern safety features. Cars today are packed with amazing technology, but people are relying on these systems too heavily, and it's making them worse drivers. Take automatic emergency braking, or AEB, for example. Although it's engineered to help prevent or reduce collisions by stopping your car when an obstacle is detected, it isn't foolproof. Studies by the IIHS have shown that while AEB performs well at low speeds, its effectiveness drops significantly on highways or in poor weather, and some early systems have even been known to false trigger. Adaptive Cruise Control, or ACC, which, by the way, is supposed to maintain a safe following distance and adjust your speed to traffic. Research indicates that drivers using ACC often follow more closely than they should, relying too much on the system instead of practicing defensive driving. That's how you end up with rear-end collisions where the driver says, "I thought my car would stop in time." Don't get me wrong, modern safety features are incredible and have certainly reduced the number of accidents, but they aren't a substitute for common sense or good driving habits. It's essential to keep your skills sharp, know how to properly check blind spots, maintain safe following distances, and react in emergencies, because even the best technology can sometimes fail. And that's a wrap. So, which of these mistakes have you been guilty of? Be honest. Let me know in the comments, and trust me, we've all done at least one of these at some point. Before you go, don't forget to check out our recent video on the most unreliable cars according to JD Power. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon. Thanks for watching.